Yo, brawlers, this is your man, Glass Chin, and you're watching Glass Chin's Boxing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yo, brawlers, just a little video on the Amirkhan vs Brook undercard. Not the worst undercard I've ever seen, but it was a little underwhelming when I looked at it last week after I realised in my Khan vs Brook prediction poll video that I was so excited for the main event that I hadn't even checked out who was on the undercard. I'm not the biggest fan of women's boxing, but I have to say that Natasha Jonas was the surprise fighter of the night to me. At 37 years old, to move up 3 weight classes and completely smoke a former world champion in Christian Namas was outstanding. The ref waved it off early to me, but the writing was on the wall that there was only going to be one winner here. Jonas was hurting Namas every time she landed a punch. To carry her power up 3 weight classes was impressive. I thought Howard Foster was disgusting waving it off how he did. Namas deserved the benefit of the doubt after the second knockdown. She sprang to her feet as soon as she touched the mat. Then she told her corner not to throw in the towel and did everything the ref said and looked like she had all her wits about her. I'm really disgusted with this stoppage. What's worse is the commentary team never even mentioned it, or the post-fight interviewer. I can't be the only person that thought it was controversial, surely. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth and puts a stain on British boxing. Of course I don't want fighters to get hurt, but Namas was brave and wanted to continue and wasn't buzzed. She had all her senses about her. First, John Ryder getting the home decision over Danny Jacobs last week, and now this. Just really makes me angry, and I can see why the UK has a corrupt opinion across the pond, and why certain fighters don't like to travel. Anyway, brawlers, that's that little rant over. Fair play to Jonas. No one works harder than Miss GB. She finally got that world title at the third time of asking. I personally thought she beat Terry Harper and deserved at least a draw against Katie Taylor. That's one of the reasons I don't really like women's boxing. It's down to the 2-minute rounds, as scoring fights can become very blurry. Amanda Serrano, to me the best pound-for-pound female fighter in the world, has challenged Katie Taylor to a 12 3-minute round bout. I can't see that getting sanctioned, but I'm all for it if it does. Do you agree with me? Do you like women's boxing? What do you think of the 2-minute rounds? Please, brawlers, let me know your opinions in the comment section. The next fight I want to talk about is Bradley Ray versus Craig McCarthy. I have to say this, meaning no disrespect to Ray, that when I see him on the undercard, I didn't even know who he was or even recognise his name, which isn't like me at all, even if I can't picture some fighters, like some prospects when they're coming up, especially if they are 11-0. What's more muggy for me is that I've actually watched his last 2 fights, on the Okoli versus Goaki undercard, and then the Hughie Fury versus Christian Hamer undercard. Even though he had a first round knockout on the Okoli undercard against Lee Cutler, I don't remember that fight at all. He must have got lost to me in the mix with Fowler, Billingham Smith, Ellie Scotney and Joe Cordina all on that card. Or I had a brain fart or too many beers that night, or both I guess. Well, brawlers, it was just bugging me a little, so I just stopped this video and actually went back and watched it. I think maybe I just missed it, as I still have no memory of that fight at all. It was the opening fight, so maybe I was just late to the party. Some serious bombs were landed there by Ray. There's no way I would have forgot about that fight, dropping Cutler 3 times in the first round, before the ref waved it off. Ray kind of reminded me a lot of Zach Parker there, looking tall and rangy against Cutler. Anyway, brawlers, the point I was going to make before I got sidetracked was I'd kind of written Ray off because of the Jez Smith fight. Now don't get me wrong, it was a great little domestic fight, and both Ray and Smith got stuck in. If you haven't seen it yet, go and watch it as it was a decent little dust-up. I just thought with Jez Smith 3 previous knockout losses, one of them at welterweight and one of them at super welterweight, I'd have thought if Ray was the real deal, he would have stopped Smith. Jez Smith deserves a lot more respect for his efforts against Ray and a lot more credit than I was giving him. I hope he can put on a similar show against Shiraz on the David Evans Venetian undercard next month. I was impressed with how easy Ray dissolved of McCarthy, and will definitely remember his name going forward. As I said, he reminds me a little of Zach Parker, and could be one to watch down the line. At 24 years old, he's already being tested. I don't think it'll be long before he's in the domestic mix-up with Felix Cash, Sam Egerton, Danny Dignam and Anthony Fowler. Elsewhere on the card, adamazim scored a showreel knockout against journeyman Jake Darnell. This young kid has a lot of tools in his locker, and I will watch his career unfold with a keen eye. His brother hassanazim failed to impress with a 4-round points decision over MJ Hall. It weren't all his fault, as Hall was just there to survive and get his paycheck. He didn't even try and win. I could probably count the number of punches he threw on my fingers and toes. There's a reason why he's only won 2 fights out of 78. He was content to run around the ring like Mr. Bean and avoid any engagement. I don't want to see guys like Hall get hurt, but you have to give the people their money's worth. If I was a ref, I would have just waved off the fight and disqualified him for making a joke of it all. Fighters go harder than that in sparring. Or maybe you have to blame Ben Shalom for putting a mismatch like this on pay-per-view instead of on a small hall show where fighters learn their craft with no pressure. In the days of social media, Hassan was done no favours here and would end up in his younger brother's shadow. It's obvious that no scouting was done and they just saw MJ Hall's 74 losses and thought they could use him to pad the record. While he was a horrible opponent who's learned his craft on how to survive, only getting stopped 5 times in 78 fights. Right now, let's talk about the big man, the eraser, Fraizer Clarke, the 6'6", 256-pound mountain of a man. He started his pro career with a first-round TKO victory over Jake Darnell, a former white-collar boxer and bare-knuckle fighter who took the fight on last-minute notice, vowing to still play for his local Sunday football team the day after. What a lad, eh? Clarke beat him in the first round when his corner threw in the towel. To be fair, he took some leather in the short space of time he was in the ring. This was a complete mismatch. Clarke's been getting a lot of stick online from the trolls about the level of competition, but he can't help that his original opponent caught COVID. It will be interesting to see how fast they push Clarke. He's 30 already, so not that old for a heavyweight, but still getting up there. Former Olympians Joe Joyce and Tony Yoka stepped up their competition very quickly. I'd like to see him fight a Nick Webb or a Cash Ali before this year is out. Mark Bennett or Josh Sandland might be okay for the next opponent. Getting rounds in for him might prove difficult without throwing him into the deep end. I was impressed with his hand speed for a big guy. I'm not quite sold on Clarke as the next big thing in British boxing yet. I weren't expecting him to medal at the Olympics, but I think his style was more suited to the pro game, and the longer distance fights will bring the best out of him. What do you think of Fraizer, the Eraser Clarke brawlers? Do you think he could go on and win a world title? Do you rate him? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.